The jazz was soft, the lights golden, and the laughter too loud for a Wednesday night. At the heart of the bar, Derek Wolfe held court like a king. Tall, rugged, and dressed in a designer blazer that screamed "try hard," he raised his glass for what felt like the 100th toast. His booming voice sliced through the background chatter. "To Lila," he declared, arm wrapped tightly around the young blonde perched beside him. "Soon-to-be breakout star of Verona's Secret, Hollywood's next big thing. You heard it here first." The crowd, mostly studio assistants, minor agents, and hangers-on desperate to be seen, erupted in applause. Lila Rose beamed, flipping her hair as cameras flashed. She looked perfect. Perfect body, perfect teeth, perfect timing. The kind of woman built for headlines and hot takes. And yet, not far from the spotlight, seated quietly in the back corner near the bar, was the woman whose silence spoke louder than any cheers. She wore black. No makeup, no entourage, no need for attention, because she didn't come for attention. She came for the show. That woman was Evelyn Grant, Derek's ex-wife. And in less than 2 weeks, she would announce a casting decision that would set the industry on fire and turn Derek's smug grin into a national meme. He thought he was winning. He didn't know she was holding the pen. Flashback. 5 years earlier. Evelyn Grant was a screenwriter, a damn good one. She had a name in Hollywood's quieter circles, the kind of woman executives respected but rarely invited to after-parties. She wasn't flashy, she wasn't loud, but her words had built empires. Grey Halos, The Everhart Chronicles, Willow's Fall, critically acclaimed, fan-loved, and quietly bankrolled by her mind. She met Derek on set. He was the pretty face, the lead with a tragic past and a smile that could melt lenses. He was charming, hungry, and unpredictable, the kind of man women fell for in stories she wrote. Evelyn fell anyway. They married fast, too fast. Red carpets, joint interviews, magazine spreads. She believed him when he said he loved her brain, when he whispered that he wanted forever. But love in Hollywood ages quickly. Within 2 years, the cracks showed. Comments about her body, jokes about her mom haircut when she hadn't even had kids, passive jabs about how her scripts weren't mainstream enough anymore. Then came the absences, the last-minute schedule changes, the perfume on his collar that wasn't hers. When Evelyn confronted him, Derek didn't even flinch. "Maybe if you kept up with the younger writers, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere." She never cried in front of him again. The divorce was clean, quiet. She walked away with her dignity, a Malibu beach house, and full rights to every project her name was on. He got a publicist who sold a sob story to People magazine and a fast-growing ego. Within months, Derek was linked to a new it girl every week. Models, influencers, a C-list heiress from Texas. But when he met Lila Rose, a 24-year-old actress trying to land her first real role, he finally stuck. She was beautiful, bubbly, and eager, the kind of woman who posted 6 TikToks a day and called every producer babe. Derek was obsessed. He paraded her like a trophy. And Evelyn? She stayed quiet, she worked, she partnered with 2 top-tier producers and launched her own company, Grant Motion Pictures. She sold 3 limited series to streamers and greenlit her first full-length feature as executive producer, a twisted psychological thriller titled Verona's Secret. Evelyn wasn't just back. She was untouchable. Back to the bar. "You'll all see," Derek boomed, waving his phone in the air. "Lila's auditioning this week. Hell, I already talked to one of the casting directors. This role is hers." Lila giggled, sipping her pink cocktail. "I just hope they see me, you know? I feel so connected to the character, vulnerable but powerful, just like me." Evelyn's lips twitched. She had written the role of Verona based on a woman who'd been cheated on, underestimated, and discarded like yesterday's trend. In short, she had written Verona based on herself. And there was no way in hell Lila Rose was getting that lead. What Derek didn't know, what no one at that bar knew, was that casting had wrapped 4 days ago. Bella Quinn, the Tony-nominated Broadway actress with actual chops, had already signed the contract. As for Lila, she had landed a minor role. 1 scene, 26 lines. The desperate mistress who got slapped and walked out in tears. Evelyn had personally approved the script revisions. She had also booked a press rollout timed precisely for maximum impact. The casting announcement was scheduled for Monday. She was ready for the fallout. And sure enough, Monday morning hit like a sledgehammer. Breaking: Verona's Secret cast finalized. Bella Quinn to star. Filming begins October. Insider, Layla Rose cast in supporting role amid rumors of lead audition snub. Who's W? Derek Wolf's fiancée misses out on lead role in new thriller, written by his ex-wife. Derek's team scrambled. Layla's agent demanded answers. And Evelyn? She made no comment. She simply posted a black and white photo of her morning coffee with a caption, "Every role has a purpose. Choose yours wisely." That night, Evelyn's phone rang. Lila, crying. "You cast me to embarrass me," she sobbed. "No," Evelyn said calmly. "I cast you where you belong." Pause. "You're lucky I didn't write you out completely." Before she was Evelyn Grant, Hollywood's silent power player and quiet storm, she was just Evie from Portland. No trust fund, no connections. Just a girl with too many notebooks, a sharp tongue, and a dream bigger than the Pacific Northwest skyline. Her mom, Denise, raised her solo after her dad walked out when she was 6. Denise worked 3 jobs, waitress, cashier, and night shift janitor, to keep the lights on and a roof over their heads. Evie grew up watching her mother grind through life with a quiet resilience, never once complaining, never once asking for help. It left a mark. Evie learned early that if she wanted anything, she'd have to write it into existence. And so she did. By 16, she had filled over 40 journals with made-up lives, twisted plots, betrayals, and impossible love stories. While other girls dreamed about prom, Evie dreamed about Oscars. Her escape wasn't makeup or boys. It was final draft and the smell of freshly printed script pages. She won a statewide screenwriting competition her senior year. That led to a scholarship offer from UCLA. Evelyn said goodbye to Portland, kissed her mom at the Greyhound station, and never looked back. College was hard. Everyone at UCLA seemed richer, flashier, and infinitely more connected. Her classmates drove Beamers and drank oat milk before it was cool. Evelyn lived off ramen and dollar theater runs. She worked at a 24-hour diner to cover what her scholarship didn't, flipping pancakes at 3 a.m. while memorizing film history flashcards between orders. But what she lacked in privilege, she made up for in hustle. She interned on low-budget sets, wrote short films for student directors, and haunted every networking mixer she could sneak into. By her junior year, she was ghostwriting scripts for indie producers who needed fast turnarounds and didn't care whose name ended up in the credits. Her work was sharp, punchy, emotional, often better than the official scriptwriters, but she stayed in the background. It paid her rent, barely. Everything changed the year she turned 24. That's when Grey Halos happened. A gritty character drama about a corrupt priest and the woman who exposes him. The script had been passed around for years with no bites. Evelyn found it, rewrote 70% of it in 2 weeks, and emailed it to a junior producer she met at a rooftop bar. 2 months later, it was greenlit. Evelyn was finally credited as the screenwriter, and suddenly people started whispering her name at parties. Grey Halos hit Sundance like a firework, winning Best Screenplay and landing Evelyn on every Writers to Watch list. And that's also when she met Derek Wolf. At the time, Derek was the kind of actor casting directors called a gamble. Pretty face, decent range, but no breakthrough role. When he auditioned for the lead in Grey Halos, Evelyn didn't even want him. She pushed for someone else, older, darker, more experienced, but Derek fought for it. He showed up to the 3rd callback with a handwritten note that simply read, "I am this character. You wrote me." Evelyn rolled her eyes at the time. She also gave him the part. They started dating a month into filming. It was electric. Derek was magnetic and funny, knew how to light up a room, and unlike anyone she'd known before, he made her feel seen. For the first time, Evelyn let herself believe she could have both, the career and the romance. They married the following year in a tiny ceremony in Ojai, under a canopy of eucalyptus trees. No press, no paparazzi, just close friends, a handful of co-stars, and an acoustic guitarist. For a while, they were Hollywood's low-key power couple. Derek's career took off after Grey Halos, landing him in back-to-back roles, and Evelyn kept writing hit after hit. They bought a house in the hills, adopted a rescue dog, and whispered about trying for a baby, maybe next year. But something changed. It started slow, like rust on metal. Derek stopped reading her drafts. He canceled their weekly no-phones dinners. He brushed off her stories, asking why she didn't write more commercial stuff. He started using phrases like branding and relatability. started comparing her scripts to the kind of movies where the girl always falls for the hot villain and nobody dies. Evelyn tried to hold on. She changed her hair, took breaks from work to travel with him, smiled through red carpet events where photographers shouted his name and forgot hers. But nothing worked. The man she once trusted with her most fragile dreams was slowly replacing her with someone shinier, someone louder, someone like Lila. When she found the messages, she didn't scream, didn't throw anything. She just stared at the phone in her hand, reading Derek's flirty text history with a barely legal actress from a failed CW reboot. Lila rose. "I want to write a role just for you," he had texted her. "You're everything Evelyn's not." That night, Evelyn packed a suitcase and left, quietly, efficiently, no drama. She filed for divorce the next day. The tabloids speculated endlessly. Creative differences, infidelity rumors. Was Evelyn too intense? Derek gave the kind of lukewarm, performative statements that publicists love. "We still care deeply for one another. Please respect our privacy." Evelyn said nothing, but inside something cold, ancient, and focused took over. She didn't want revenge, she wanted control. In the year following the divorce, Evelyn built something bigger than anyone expected. She used her savings to partner with veteran producer Nora Lynn, negotiated a silent stake in 3 rising production companies, and locked in a multi-picture deal with Silver Key Studios. She took meetings at rooftop lounges, dressed in all black, and let rumors swirl. By the time she greenlit Verona's Secret, she was no longer the ex-wife of an actor. She was the boss, the owner, the final word. And when Derek came sniffing around, trying to get Lila into the room for a lead she didn't deserve, Evelyn smiled, said nothing, and handed the casting folder to her assistant. With a single signature, she changed the ending. Because Evelyn Grant was done writing stories for men who underestimated her. Now she wrote endings for herself. The Hollywood casting process is part theater, part war, and part politics. To outsiders, it looks glamorous. An actress walks into a room, reads a few lines, maybe cries on cue, and either gets the part or doesn't. But behind those velvet-lined walls and espresso machines is a battlefield. Reputations are made, careers are killed, and sometimes power is proven with just a whisper. When Verona's Secret went into pre-production, Evelyn Grant knew the vultures would circle. It was her first time producing under her own banner. Everyone wanted to see if she'd crumble without Derek, without studio safety nets, without a man propping her up. But Evelyn had planned this battlefield well. The story was tight. A psychological thriller centered on a grieving woman named Verona, who infiltrates the family of the man responsible for her sister's death. It was dark, intimate, sharp, like Evelyn herself. The budget was mid-level but solid. $30 million, privately financed with a strong distribution deal already secured through Artemis Pictures. Filming was set to begin in Vancouver in October. The team was locked. Director Shane Avery, known for his moody visuals, cinematographer Carla Diaz, a rising star from Spain, and casting head Marcus Bell, whose instincts were feared and respected industry-wide. The only question that remained, who would play Verona? Evelyn wanted Bella Quinn from the start. A Broadway darling with 2 Tony nominations, Bella wasn't box office in the traditional sense. She wasn't trending on social media, didn't have a TikTok fan base, and didn't do hot girl roles. But what she did have was raw, aching, undeniable talent. Her audition had left everyone stunned. She read one monologue, just one, and the room went silent. Her eyes brimmed with quiet rage, her voice trembling on the edge of grief and fury. She was Verona. When she finished, the only sound was Evelyn's soft, "Thank you." Marcus turned to her, eyebrows raised. Evelyn just nodded. There was no debate. Bella was the lead. Meanwhile, across town in a loft apartment wrapped in white gauze curtains and sponsored skincare, Lila Rose was rehearsing. Well, sort of. She was filming herself on an iPhone, trying out different poses and emotional beats while Derek adjusted the lighting. "Try the look where your eyes go glassy, but you don't cry," he said, squinting. "It's more artistic." Lila blinked rapidly. "Like this?" "No, more tortured, less mascara. Think Verona just found her sister's body." Lila pouted. "I don't even know what happened to her sister. You said you'd get me the full script." "I'm working on it, babe. Just trust me. Evelyn owes me." That was the thing about Derek. He actually believed Evelyn owed him. He'd convinced himself he had made her career. that her rise had been attached to his face, that he still had power. He didn't. When Marcus Bell received Lila's self-tape, he lasted 42 seconds before sighing loudly and closing the video. "She thinks squinting is acting," he muttered, tossing the iPad onto his desk. Evelyn said nothing. She was sipping her coffee, flipping through the latest version of the shooting schedule. "She's not even SAG," Marcus continued. "This girl's never carried a scene in her life. Her reel is just filtered thirst traps and one walk-on part in a car insurance commercial." "I know," Evelyn replied coolly. "So what do we do?" She looked up, her expression calm, unreadable. "Cast her in the mistress role." Marcus blinked. "The side character?" "One scene, crying, slapped, leaves." "You're serious?" Evelyn closed her binder. "Dead serious." He stared at her for a beat, then smiled slowly. "That's cold." "Not cold," she corrected. "Poetic." Within the week, the offer went out to Bella Quinn for the lead role, and Lila's agent received a formal request to audition for Erica, a supporting part labeled attractive but fragile, ex-lover with manipulative tendencies. Derek was furious. He stormed into Evelyn's office without knocking, red-faced and loud. "You're humiliating her. You did this to get back at me." Evelyn barely looked up from her paperwork. "You're not that important, Derek. You cast her as a side chick." "I cast her as the side chick she is," she snapped. He flinched, caught off guard by her tone. She stood then, calm but firm, her voice low and lethal. "You brought your little affair into my life. You paraded her around like she was your upgrade. Now you want me to hand her my story? My lead? My heroine?" She stepped closer, eyes locked onto his. "You had your chance to play a leading man, Derek. You blew it." Outside the glass walls of Evelyn's office, the production machine kept moving. Costume designers were pulling looks for Verona, muted tones, vintage jewelry, subtle bruises. Location scouts sent photos of Vancouver estates. Contracts were being signed, visas secured, flights booked. The table read was scheduled for next week. And Lila? She still thought she had a shot at the lead. Meanwhile, social media started catching wind. A leaked casting list made its way to Twitter. A few gossip accounts whispered that Bella Quinn had signed on. Lila posted a now-deleted selfie with a caption, "Big things coming. I'm ready to lead." Evelyn didn't respond publicly, but privately she smiled. The week before filming, Lila was invited to the production office for a wardrobe fitting. She arrived in sunglasses and a silk scarf, expecting cameras, champagne, maybe a small welcome gift. Instead, she was ushered into a trailer where a wardrobe assistant handed her a tattered trench coat and a pair of cheap heels. She blinked. "What's this?" "Erica's look," the assistant said. "I think there's a mistake. I'm the lead." The assistant froze, glancing at the clipboard. You're Erica, right?" "No, I mean yes, but Derek said." The assistant looked uncomfortable. "I just do fittings." Lila stood there for a moment, speechless, holding the scratchy coat that smelled faintly of mothballs and vinegar. It wasn't what she expected. It wasn't the dream. Derek Wolfe always needed an audience. He didn't just want attention. He needed it the way a plant needs sunlight. The limelight was his oxygen. He thrived in crowded rooms, on camera, in whispers behind closed doors. To Derek, being talked about was the same as being relevant, and nothing terrified him more than becoming irrelevant. In the early days, he was magnetic, fresh-faced, charismatic, with a smirk that hinted at danger and eyes that begged for screen time. Casting agents loved him. Women adored him. Directors saw potential, and Derek soaked it in like champagne at a wrap party. He believed in his own legend before it was even written, and for a while it worked. After Grey Halos, he booked 2 major films, a high-end watch campaign, and 3 magazine covers. He'd flash that movie star smile, say the right things about honoring the craft, and drop Evelyn's name only when it helped his image. But slowly the momentum shifted. He turned down a gritty indie that ended up winning Best Picture. He demanded too much money for a Netflix drama that went on to become a cultural juggernaut. He passed on an ensemble film because he wouldn't be the center of every scene. His ego didn't just grow, it became insatiable, and as the roles dried up, he blamed everyone but himself. By the time Evelyn filed for divorce, Derek's career was already on shaky ground, but rather than reflect, he doubled down on the one thing he still knew how to do: perform. Only this time, the audience was the paparazzi. He dated models, walked red carpets solo, sunglasses on indoors, gave vague interviews about outgrowing certain partnerships, and hinted at creative stagnation. And then came Lila. 24, beautiful and naive enough to think Derek Wolfe was still a leading man. He met her at a luxury gym in West Hollywood. She was taking acting classes part-time and working promotional events for fashion brands. Their first date was dinner at Catch LA. The second was a photo op. By the third, TMZ had their love story. Derek loved it. He loved her admiration, her starstruck gaze. She made him feel young again, important again. What he didn't see, what he couldn't see, was that while he was flaunting his new muse, Evelyn was building something bulletproof. When Evelyn announced Verona's secret, Derek saw an opportunity. He assumed she still operated like the woman he used to criticize for being too emotional, too behind the scenes. He thought he could pressure her, charm her, maybe even guilt her. He was wrong. And when Bella Quinn was officially announced as the lead, something in Derek snapped. He tried to spin it. "Bella's great," he told reporters. "Lila's still reading for a key role. We're thrilled." But in private, he was spiraling. At home, he paced like a caged animal. He snapped at Lila, accused her of not taking things seriously. When she asked him why Evelyn was icing them out, he ranted about betrayal, about loyalty, about how everything I ever did helped her rise. "What exactly did you do?" Lila asked once. He glared. "I was the face, the interviews, the energy. She just wrote." Just wrote. It never occurred to him that Evelyn had been the foundation all along. A week before filming, Derek's agent called. "Got bad news." Derek straightened. "Is it about the cameo?" "They cut it." "What?" "The producers think your presence would distract from the story." Derek was stunned. "It's one scene. They don't want you anywhere near it. Evelyn made that clear." He slammed the phone down, breathing hard. It wasn't just the humiliation. It was the realization that he no longer had leverage. He had no power here. Evelyn didn't fear him. She didn't need him. He poured a whiskey, then another. And still the world moved on. Lila, meanwhile, was struggling. She bombed the table red, forgot her only monologue, broke down crying when the director asked her to tap into raw pain. "She doesn't know how to access real emotion," Carla, the cinematographer, whispered after rehearsal. "She's never been broken," the costume designer replied. The crew talked. The word spread. Lila Rose wasn't ready. But Evelyn let it play out. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. Sometimes people need to be exposed before they evolve. Sometimes truth has to sting before it sticks. Derek tried to repair things. He emailed Evelyn late one night, his tone oddly nostalgic. "We built something once. Doesn't that count for anything? I just want her to succeed. I thought maybe we could all work together again." Evelyn didn't reply. She forwarded the email to legal. Then she kept producing. The media began to shift. The Lila Derek narrative lost steam. Tabloids turned to new scandals. Younger stars, fresher faces. Derek pitched a reality show. Networks passed. He joined a podcast interview unpaid and rambled about cancel culture and industry politics. He complained that his ex-wife blacklisted him, that he was erased unfairly. But the truth? Derek wasn't erased. He just ran out of substance. By the time Verona's Secret began filming in Vancouver, Derek Wolfe was trending for all the wrong reasons. A clip from his podcast went viral for how delusional it sounded. One journalist tweeted, "When your ex-wife becomes your boss and you don't even realize it." Derek's name trended for 72 hours. The memes were brutal. His agent stopped answering. Even Lila pulled away, suddenly unsure of her future. "You said you knew this industry," she snapped. "You said you'd protect me." "I did," Derek shouted. "You just didn't deliver." It was the first time he blamed her out loud. It wouldn't be the last. The unraveling wasn't dramatic. No fistfights. No breakdowns on the red carpet. It was slower than that. Derek faded. He stopped getting invited to premieres. His inbox dried up. The studios moved on. And Evelyn? She was too busy to notice. She had scripts to approve, press tours to schedule, a film to launch. She was the lead now. And Derek? He was just an old scene that no longer made the final cut. The buzz started on a Tuesday morning, quiet at first. Just a few posts on a casting thread, some whispers on a film blog. But within hours, it was everywhere. Bella Quinn confirmed as lead in Verona's Secret. Lila Rose lands supporting role as Erica. The entertainment sites exploded. Broadway legend to star in Evelyn Grant's thriller. Model turned actress Mrs. Lead, fiancée of Derek Wolfe, relegated to minor role. Did Evelyn Grant just serve revenge cold? Twitter lost its mind. Some fans rallied behind Lila, blaming elitist Hollywood politics. Others posted side-by-side comparisons of Bella's stage performances versus Lila's Instagram reels. Someone even dug up Lila's old reality show clips, ones she'd tried hard to bury. They resurfaced in memes within minutes. It was brutal. And it hadn't even reached Lila yet. When Lila woke up in Derek's apartment to dozens of missed calls and notifications, she was confused. "Why is everyone texting me?" she mumbled, still half asleep. Derek sat on the edge of the bed, silent, scrolling through headlines. His face was pale. She reached for her phone and froze. The first article she opened said it all. Ex-wife casts mistress in one-scene role, Hollywood gasps. "Wait, what?" Lila whispered. "What the hell is this?" Derek finally looked up, his jaw tight. "It's out. Evelyn made the announcement. You told me I was getting the lead." He stood up, voice rising. "That was the plan. She went behind my back. She's doing this to humiliate us." Lila blinked. "You said she didn't have the power." "She shouldn't." Lila's hands shook as she read through the articles. They weren't just neutral, they were mocking. One article even quoted an anonymous insider calling her a glorified extra with a glam team. "She cast me as Erica," she whispered. Derek didn't respond. She kept reading. "Erica is in one scene, Derek. One, I get slapped and leave the room." "She's baiting us," he muttered. "She wants us to walk away, but we're not quitting. We'll show her. You'll kill it. We'll get press. Spin it. Take control." But Lila wasn't listening. Her face was drained of color. Her dream, her Hollywood breakout, was unraveling in real time, and the world was watching. 2 days later came the table read. It was supposed to be private, no cameras, just cast, crew, and producers. But somehow, a leaked photo hit the internet. Bella Quinn at the head of the table, in full control, laughing with Evelyn and director Shane Avery. Lila was there too, in the corner. Smiling, yes, but visibly tense. Commenters zoomed in on her body language, her tight smile, the way she was holding her script like a lifeline. "She looks like she knows. This is painful to watch. Why did she even show up?" One tweet went viral. "Imagine boasting about your future Oscar and getting cast as the side chick. Evelyn Grant is playing chess." Back on set, things were worse. Lila was late to her first fitting, missed her rehearsal call time, cried in the makeup chair. The crew whispered, not cruelly, just the way people do when something's clearly falling apart and no one wants to be blamed for noticing. Derek visited the set once, trying to show support. But his arrival caused more tension than help. The assistant director gently asked him to stay away during shoot days. He left fuming. Then came the gala. It was the Silver Key Studios Summer Showcase, an annual event for talent, producers, and media to mingle, pose, and announce upcoming releases. Think Met Gala meets Cannes, with just enough desperation in the air to keep everyone hungry. Evelyn wasn't even supposed to attend. She hated these things. But Silver Key insisted it was her studio's first major film under her production banner. Verona's Secret was their fall jewel. So she went. Wearing a sleek black gown and a smirk, the moment she stepped onto the carpet, the crowd surged. Cameras flashed. "Evelyn, over here!" She posed beside Bella Quinn, who was radiant in crimson. They laughed, whispered. The press loved it. Then, 20 minutes later, Derek and Lila arrived. It was a disaster. Lila wore a sheer gown that showed more than it covered. Her stylist had gone for edgy, but landed somewhere between confused and desperate. Derek wore a white tux. White. Who wears white to a black and silver event? They smiled, posed, waved, but the reception was icy. One journalist muttered under his breath, "Bold move showing up." Another simply shook her head and said, "Yikes." Things got worse inside. At the seated dinner, Derek tried to approach Evelyn's table. She barely acknowledged him. He leaned in, voice low. "This isn't over." She didn't blink. "It already is." Then she turned back to Bella and resumed her conversation. Lila stood behind him awkwardly, ignored by everyone, eyes darting around as if looking for an exit. Someone at the next table whispered too loudly, "Is that the girl from the car insurance commercial?" Lila heard it. Her face crumpled for a split second before she pasted the smile back on. Later that night, someone live-streamed a snippet from the event's backstage green room. Lila was caught on camera mid-breakdown. "He said I'd be the star. He said she was old news. And now I'm the punchline? I can't even walk the carpet without people laughing at me." A crew member tried to calm her, but Lila shoved the phone away. The clip went viral within hours. Hashtags, Erica Energy, Grant played you, lead to side chick. Even celebrities joined in the online commentary, some supportive, most not. By morning, Lila had deactivated her Instagram. And Derek? He was still trying to control the narrative, posting motivational quotes, calling in favors from fading agents. But Hollywood doesn't forget humiliation, and it doesn't like liars. At the next Silver Key pitch meeting, Derek's name came up. The executive producer chuckled. He used to be something. Yeah, someone else added. Now he's just a cautionary tale. And Evelyn? She didn't gloat. She just went back to work. The film was halfway through production. Bella Quinn was delivering brilliance. And the audience? They were already lining up to watch it all unfold. Because there's nothing Hollywood loves more than a well-written takedown. Especially when the villain doesn't even know they're the punchline. Lila Rose had never felt invisible before. Not in a room, not on a carpet, and certainly not on camera. Her entire life had been curated for attention, angled selfies, staged brunches, filters that blurred out every flaw. But for the first time in her career, no, in her life, people were looking past her, and they were laughing. Her face was everywhere, but not the way she wanted. Not in a feature film trailer, not on a magazine cover. She had become the cautionary meme, the girl who thought she was the star but got cast as the side piece. Erica Energy was trending for 3 days straight. Someone even made a fake trailer of Verona's Secret, featuring Lila's single line of dialogue, looped, auto-tuned, and followed by a fake slap sound effect. It got 2 million views on TikTok in 24 hours. And Derek was no help. He spent his days pacing their apartment, phone glued to his hand, firing off aggressive emails to anyone who would listen. "She's sabotaging us," he muttered for the 10th time that week. Lila sat on the couch, wrapped in a throw blanket, eyes swollen from crying. "Hell, Evelyn, she's behind all of this. She's pulling strings." Lila didn't respond. Derek kept ranting. "She made me. I brought her into the spotlight. She was just a writer before me." "Yeah," Lila finally snapped. "A writer who owns the film you begged to be part of." Derek froze, the air between them thick with silence. "I didn't beg," he muttered. Lila stood, grabbing her phone. "You did. And now you're scrambling like a washed-up contestant from Dancing with the Stars." He stared at her, stunned. And for the first time, she didn't care what he thought. Lila's spiral accelerated quickly after that. She stopped going to fittings, missed a crucial shoot day. The production team sent polite warnings, then less polite ones. She finally showed up one morning wearing sunglasses indoors, mumbling that she didn't sleep well. The director, Shane Avery, pulled Evelyn aside during lunch. "She's imploding," he said bluntly. "It's affecting crew morale." Evelyn glanced across the lot, where Lila was curled in a corner with her phone, probably reading more online hate. "She'll finish the scene," Evelyn replied. "Then she's wrapped." "You sure?" "I'm sure." Shane nodded. "All right, but next time, no more favors." Evelyn didn't respond, just walked back to set, her heels clicking steadily on concrete. She never said it out loud, but this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about control. Meanwhile, Derek tried everything to claw his way back into relevance. He pitched a podcast. No one bit. He offered to consult on Verona's Secret for free. Evelyn didn't even answer. He even reached out to an old producer friend from his Grey Halos days. "Let's revive it," he said. "A sequel? Audiences would eat it up." The friend laughed. "Derek, buddy, you played a tortured anti-hero 10 years ago. Now you're just a tortured ex-husband." He hung up before Derek could respond. The silence afterward was deafening. 1 week later, Evelyn received a delivery to her office. A single white envelope with her name handwritten in black ink. Inside, a letter from Derek. It was short, messy, desperate. "I don't know what happened to us. I don't know when you stopped seeing me. I miss the way things used to be. If this is about her, I'm sorry. But we were good once, weren't we? I thought we were a team. Call me, please." Evelyn read it twice, then placed it neatly in her shredder. The machine hummed softly as the words vanished into strips. She had no interest in dragging him. She wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She was done. Back on set, the atmosphere shifted. Bella Quinn's performance was mesmerizing, raw, heartbreaking, terrifying. The crew clapped after every take. The studio heads flew in for a sneak preview and left in awe. Evelyn, always composed, allowed herself a rare moment of pride. They had something real, authentic, and best of all, hers. Lila's final scene came and went without fanfare. She delivered her lines, took the slap, walked off set, no applause, no compliments, just a quiet, "That's a wrap," from the assistant director and a polite nod from the makeup girl. She cried in the car. Derek didn't notice. He was too busy Googling how to get it unbanned from Reddit AMAs. Weeks later, a teaser trailer for Verona's Secret dropped. Bella's face dominated the screen, bruised, brilliant, haunted. Critics raved within hours. The buzz was instant. In the final seconds of the teaser, Lila appeared, crying, eyes red, hair disheveled, one line, "Why didn't you stop it?" Then cut to black. The internet exploded. Was that Lila Rose? One line? Damn. She got 5 seconds of screen time. I blinked and missed her. The hashtag returned, Erica Energy. This time, Lila didn't respond. She turned off all her notifications. Evelyn sat in her Beverly Hills office the night the teaser went live. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Congratulations. Praise. Press requests. Her assistant popped in with a smile. People are calling it your comeback. Evelyn looked up from her desk. It's not a comeback, she said calmly. I never left. That same night, Derek logged into his old IMDb page and stared at the credits. His last real film was 3 years ago. His last award was 6. And now? He wasn't even mentioned in the press release for Verona's Secret. He refreshed the page, again and again. But no new projects appeared, just silence. Lila, for her part, moved back into her sister's guest house in Pasadena. The big auditions stopped coming. Her agent stopped returning calls. She tried a few brand deals, skin serums, vitamin gummies, but the comments section tore her apart. Eventually, she stopped posting. She went quiet, and for the first time in her life, Lila Rose didn't want the spotlight. She wanted to disappear. As for Evelyn, she wasn't gloating, she wasn't bragging. She was busy prepping for the premiere, because the real show? It hadn't even started yet. For months, Evelyn Grant let everyone assume she was just the executive producer of Verona's Secret, the quietly powerful ex-wife with a sharp pen and sharper instincts. But the truth? She wasn't just producing the film, she owned it. More than that, she owned the studio behind it, Silver Key Studios, the entire infrastructure. Every project, every payroll, every release date. Evelyn wasn't just behind the curtain. She was the one pulling every string. It started 2 years prior, just after her divorce from Derek finalized. While he was busy dating starlets and guesting on D-list podcasts, Evelyn was flying under the radar, meeting with investors, exploring partnerships, sitting in on tech-backed film financing meetings in Zurich and Singapore. She didn't just want to tell stories anymore. She wanted to control the platform. She wanted ownership, and she got it. With the help of Nora Lynn, a Silicon Valley venture capitalist turned media disruptor, Evelyn quietly purchased 51% of Silver Key Studios under a shell company, Epiphany Holdings. It wasn't in the trades, it wasn't public knowledge. All the headlines called her a producer with creative freedom. But that was by design. Evelyn didn't want noise, she wanted leverage. She got both. The night Verona's Secret wrapped, Nora flew in to celebrate. They sat on Evelyn's balcony overlooking the city, sipping wine, the Hollywood sign glowing in the distance. You think Derek knows yet? Nora asked, grinning. Evelyn smirked. He still thinks I'm just a scriptwriter who got lucky. Nora raised her glass. To the lucky ones who own everything. Clink. The twist didn't go public until Verona's Secret's official press conference, held at the Ritz-Carlton in downtown LA. The room was packed, journalists, bloggers, fans, even a few skeptics. Everyone expected the usual Q&A, cast reflections, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, a few sound bites for TikTok. What they got was a bombshell. Midway through the event, one persistent reporter asked, "Evelyn, you seem to have full control on this project. How much of the creative say did Silver Key give you?" Evelyn smiled, then said 4 words that cracked the room wide open. "I am Silver Key Studios." Gasps. The microphones buzzed with follow-up questions. "Wait, you own the studio? Since when? How did you keep this quiet?" Evelyn leaned in, poised and calm. "For over a year. Quiet power moves differently." The internet imploded. "She owns it" trended within 30 minutes. Memes flooded social media. Evelyn sitting on a Game of Thrones-style throne made of clapboards, scripts, and rejection letters. Tweets like, "She's not the ex-wife, she's the empire." Derek got cast out while Evelyn bought the building. Interviews poured in, requests for panels, think pieces titled The Rise of Silent Queens and Hollywood's New Monarchs. Meanwhile, Derek watched it all unfold from his couch, alone. He had no public statement to offer. Every press contact had stopped returning his calls. And the worst part? He couldn't even pretend it was a surprise. He should have seen it. All the signs were there. The way she stopped reacting to his jabs, the meetings she never discussed, the growing silence that had nothing to do with heartbreak and everything to do with strategy. Derek had been outplayed. Completely. Lila saw it too. She scrolled through the coverage from her sister's couch, jaw slack, thumb frozen mid-scroll. She owns the studio? Her sister nodded from the kitchen. It's all over the news. Lila sank deeper into the cushions. No wonder nothing she did worked. No wonder every door seemed to close the moment Evelyn blinked. She was playing a game where the rules were rewritten by someone else, and that someone had made her a punchline. Back in LA, Evelyn fielded congratulatory calls from A-list actors, agents, and young screenwriters who had once ignored her emails. Studios offered to co-produce. Streaming giants offered blank checks. But Evelyn declined most of it. She didn't want to be everywhere. She wanted to be precise, deliberate, undeniable. She was building not just a career, but a legacy. At a private dinner with Silverkey's board, one investor raised a glass and said, "What you did to Derek Wolfe, poetic." Evelyn just raised an eyebrow. "What I built had nothing to do with Derek." Another exec chimed in. "Still, casting his fiancée as the side chick? Iconic." Evelyn smiled faintly. "I didn't cast her as revenge." The table fell silent. "I cast her because I could." The story became legend. Bloggers retold it like folklore. The cheated-on wife who didn't cry, she created. The woman who didn't get even, she got everything. College film programs began citing Verona's secret, not just as a success story, but as a case study in power, strategy, and grace. And Evelyn? She never gave a revenge interview. She never gloated. She just got ready for her next premiere. Derek, now living in a one-bedroom apartment in Westwood, took a part in a commercial for arthritis cream. He told himself it was temporary, a brand pivot. But deep down, he knew. His days as a leading man were over. Not because he aged, not because he was replaced, but because he underestimated the wrong woman. When Evelyn Grant walked into the Met Gala in a deep emerald velvet gown with a plunging back, the world finally saw her not just as a woman behind the scenes, but as the woman in charge. She wasn't clinging to relevance. She wasn't tied to a man's name. And she definitely wasn't hiding in the shadows of her ex-husband's scandals anymore. She was reborn, refined, rewritten. Her glow-up didn't come overnight. It wasn't just a wardrobe shift or a haircut. It started in silence. In long mornings with black coffee and no distractions. In gym sessions with a former Marine who didn't ask about her past, only pushed her to run harder, lift heavier, breathe deeper. In meditation retreats in Joshua Tree, where she confronted the pain, the betrayal, the part of herself that once begged Derek to choose her. She stopped begging and started building. Evelyn hired a personal stylist. Not for trend, but for armor. "Clothes are language," her stylist told her. "And you're no longer speaking softly." Her new look? Structured blazers, bold lips, statement jewelry, custom gowns in colors that said, "I am not invisible." She still wrote, of course. That would never change. But now, she walked into rooms as a decision-maker, not a guest, and people noticed. When Verona's Secret swept the indie circuit, winning Best Feature at Tribeca, Best Director at TIFF, and earning Bella Quinn a Golden Globe nomination, Evelyn's face started appearing in magazines she once flipped through in waiting rooms. Variety called her the Silent Storm. Elle called her the most powerful woman you've never heard speak loudly. Forbes simply put her on the cover with the headline, "She owns it." She wasn't flashy. She wasn't thirsty. She was in control. At industry panels, young women lined up just to ask her one question. How did you survive? Her answer was always the same. I stopped trying to survive. I started leading. And with every appearance, every quiet nod of approval, her legend grew. Not because she screamed louder than the men, but because she didn't have to. She had receipts, she had results, and most importantly, she had respect. Behind closed doors, Evelyn expanded Silverkey into television. She greenlit 2 limited series, one about a congresswoman surviving a smear campaign, the other a sci-fi thriller starring a black transgender lead. She didn't chase approval, she chased meaning, and the audience followed. Streamers fought for her exclusives, networks begged for her scripts, and every project she touched carried her signature. Unapologetic, intelligent, fierce. Her home life evolved too. No more empty mansions in the hills. She bought a brownstone in Brooklyn, close to art galleries, cozy bookstores, and morning walks in Central Park. She dated, but never clung. She kept her circle tight, her boundaries tighter. And when gossip blogs tried to link her romantically to a tech billionaire, she laughed and tweeted, "I don't date men who ask me how movies make money." The tweet went viral. Derek, meanwhile, made a quiet exit from the industry. His last audition was for a secondary villain in a reboot that didn't get picked up. He showed up to the premiere of Verona's Secret alone, uninvited, wearing a wrinkled suit and forced smile. Security asked him to wait outside, and he did. Watching Evelyn glide past the cameras, arm in arm with Bella Quinn and her director, glowing under the lights that once belonged to him, the tabloids didn't even notice him. He was old news, out of frame. Lila Rose attempted a podcast, one of those healing through storytelling series, but the comment section wasn't kind. She faded, eventually into influencer obscurity. Yoga retreats, motivational posts, a pyramid scheme in the desert. Evelyn? She stayed. She endured. And she redefined what it meant to be powerful in a place built to ignore women like her. She didn't climb a ladder. She built a staircase, and then removed the steps for anyone who tried to follow with bad intentions. At her 40th birthday, surrounded by creatives, writers, activists, and a few close friends from her Oregon roots, someone raised a glass and asked her, "What's next?" Evelyn smiled, eyes sparkling. "I'm not done yet," she said. And neither are the women watching. Because Evelyn Grant didn't just get even. She got everything, on her own terms. And she made damn sure the door stayed open for whoever came next. The night of the Verona's Secret premiere was cinematic in itself. Held at the newly renovated Avalon Theater in Hollywood, the venue glowed under strings of vintage bulbs. Gold banners with Evelyn's production company logo fluttered in the breeze. Cameras flashed, champagne was chilled, the air shimmered with that rare electricity only Hollywood nights could hold. It wasn't just a film premiere, it was a coronation. Evelyn arrived last. Always last. She stepped out of a sleek black town car in a deep crimson satin gown, minimalist in silhouette but dramatic in presence. Her hair was pinned back, her skin luminous, her heels silent as she walked the black carpet lined with a sea of press and photographers. By her side, not a date, not a man, but Bella Quinn, her star, her muse, her statement. Together, they walked that carpet like royalty. Two women who didn't beg for space, they took it. The press went wild. Evelyn Grant shuts down Hollywood. Women leading women, the image that broke the internet. No men, no mess, just power. Inside the theater, the energy was thick with awe and anticipation. Every seat was filled. Critics, celebrities, industry giants, whispers about the script, the buzz, the performances. But mostly about her. Evelyn Grant, the woman they underestimated. The woman who never shouted, only acted. Derek showed up too. Of course he did. He wore a navy suit a shade too tight, a smile a little too bright, walking the carpet alone. No Lila, no entourage, no buzz. He tried to hover near the step-and-repeat banners but was politely nudged along by staff. He attempted an interview with a minor outlet, but the reporter skipped him for a producer from Netflix. He faded. Inside the theater, Derek found his name on the seating chart. Row E. Far left. Practically in the shadows. Evelyn sat front row center beside Bella and Silverkey's distribution head. The lights dimmed. The film began. And for the next 2 hours, the room forgot Derek Wolfe existed. Verona's Secret was a masterclass. Bella Quinn delivered a career-defining performance. The audience gasped, clutched armrests, wept. Evelyn's script was devastating and smart. Every frame held meaning. Every beat hit like thunder. And then came Lila's scene. 1 minute, 15 seconds long. She appeared, cried, delivered her line, "Why didn't you stop it?" Then was slapped by Bella's character and exited the frame. Silence. A few chuckles. Then the film moved on. Lila's big break had become a punchline. Again. The lights rose. Applause erupted. A standing ovation. And when Evelyn stood to accept the flowers, the crowd turned toward her, not the actors, not the studio heads. Her. It was the loudest sound Derek had heard in years. He clapped too. Because what else could he do? He He was no longer the star of this story. Later, at the after-party, Evelyn glided through the rooftop venue with quiet grace. Guests approached her with reverence. Even her competitors smiled a little too wide, desperate for a sliver of her approval. She stopped for a moment at the bar, sipping a neat bourbon, when Derek approached. His expression was half nostalgic, half pained. "You win," he said softly. Evelyn didn't even look at him. "I never played." He laughed nervously. "Still, you crushed it. Guess you got your revenge." She turned to face him then, eyes sharp, voice calm. "This was never about revenge, Derek." "Then what was it about?" She smiled. "Closure." He stood there, speechless. And then she walked away, toward the future. The final act of poetic justice came days later when Verona's Secret broke box office records for an indie release. It landed a surprise Oscar nomination for Best Picture, and Bella Quinn was nominated for Best Actress. Evelyn received her first nomination for Best Original Screenplay. And Lila? Nothing. Not a mention. Not a tweet. Her Instagram reactivated briefly with a sponsored post about detox tea. The comments were merciless. Erica Energy was still trending. The message was clear. Evelyn Grant didn't just reclaim her story, she rewrote the whole damn script, and everyone who once doubted her, they now sat quietly in the back row watching her glow. Evelyn Grant didn't just survive heartbreak, she rebuilt from it. She didn't wait for permission to heal. She didn't beg for apologies that would never come. She turned silence into fuel, betrayal into blueprint, and every insult into an invoice. She rose, not in rage, but in clarity. And her story? It became more than just a Hollywood drama. It became a movement. 3 months after Verona's Secret swept the Indie Awards circuit and landed its Oscar nominations, Evelyn stood on a stage in front of 3,000 women at the Global Women in Media Summit. The audience was filled with journalists, directors, actresses, and girls from small towns who still wrote their dreams in dollar store notebooks. She wore a sleek navy suit, no jewelry, no distractions, just her voice, and she told the truth. "I used to think I had to be quiet to be respected," she began, "to be palatable, to be safe." She looked out over the crowd. "But safe women don't make change, they make apologies." Applause. "I was told I was just a writer, that I should be grateful for any credit, that I should accept less because someone louder was leading." A pause. And then I realized they weren't leading, they were just blocking the view. Her speech went viral. Clips flooded Instagram and TikTok. Even teenagers who'd never seen the film reposted quotes like gospel. "You don't have to be loud to be strong. You don't have to be visible to be powerful. You just have to stop waiting for someone else to choose you." And the most shared one of all, choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Evelyn started a mentorship fund for young women writers and directors. She didn't post about it much, but within a year, the fund supported over 100 emerging creatives from underrepresented backgrounds. One of them, a Latina screenwriter from Arizona, sold her first pilot to Netflix and cited Evelyn in every interview. "She didn't just hold the door open," she said. "She installed a lock to keep out the ones who'd shut it again." Meanwhile, Evelyn continued her quiet takeover. She launched a podcast called Unscripted, where she interviewed women in power. Not about scandal, not about men, but about resilience, vision, and the cost of silence. The first guest, Bella Quinn. Together they laughed, talked about the loneliness of excellence, the myth of overnight success, and the freedom that comes when you stop performing and start living. And what about Derek? He moved back to his hometown. He teaches acting now at a community center. Some say he's humbled. Others say he's bitter. But Evelyn doesn't check. She's done chasing closure. Some stories end with applause. Others end quietly, behind drawn curtains. Lila Rose pivoted too. She started a yoga and healing retreat in Sedona. Her tagline, realignment, not revenge. Some people rolled their eyes. But Evelyn, she smiled. Because growth, even messy growth, still matters. And maybe that role, Erica, the side chick, was Lila's wake-up call, not her punishment. Evelyn hoped so, because women deserve second acts too. Even the ones who didn't treat you well. Years passed. Silver Key expanded globally. Evelyn greenlit international films, funded documentaries on women's rights, and helped produce a Broadway play that reimagined Jane Eyre as a courtroom thriller. But no matter how big her platform got, she never forgot why she started. Not to get back at anyone, but to never have to ask again. At an awards ceremony honoring her for lifetime achievement, the host asked her a final question. What do you want women to remember when they hear your name? She thought for a moment, then said that they can leave, that they can rise, that no man, no mistake, no betrayal defines their ending. And with that, Evelyn Grant stepped off the stage, not as the ex-wife, not as the wronged woman, but as the architect of her own legend, unapologetic, unshaken, and unforgettable. So the story has ended, our wonderful friends. Are you still here right now with us? If you are, then something in this story must have touched your heart. Maybe a line, maybe a moment, maybe the whole journey of Evelyn rising from betrayal to legacy. What we witnessed wasn't just drama, it was transformation. It was proof that even after being torn down, you can still choose yourself. Remember this quote from Heterodoxism: "The soul doesn't break, it bends, it trembles, but it returns stronger when it remembers its worth." Maybe that's you today. Maybe you're still learning to remember. And if you are, we see you. If this story lit a fire in you, if it reminded you of your own strength, then please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to this channel for more stories that speak to your spirit. And drop a comment. What part of Evelyn's journey hit you the hardest? Let's talk. Let's heal. Together.